Shiv a text message, but there's no answer. In Romania, George keeps on running away and manages to hide the car in a small alley, thinking it's finally over. However, when he comes out, a cop crashes his car from behind and the trunk opens, revealing the body. When the cop approaches George, he stops by the window only to suddenly get hit by a truck. Then the driver comes out and George shoots him before throwing a tantrum as he realizes how low he's falling. Still using the same car, George escapes and finally arrives at the spot from the drawings. He enters the building with his gun out, only to suddenly be jumped on by the caretaker. A fight ensues and after lots of struggle, the men get stuck in a standoff, only for the caretaker to accidentally fall down the stairs. When he finally wakes up, George gives him his gun to convince him they're on the same team and the caretaker agrees to show him the bomb. They drive to a building in the middle of nowhere and George finally sees the bomb on the back of a truck. Since that area is just open fields, they agree to move it to a more densely populated area to cause a bigger effect when it blows up. As they drive off with the warhead, George doesn't notice a car is following them and even hearing their conversation through a bug in the truck. A flashback reveals that 24 hours ago, a group of mercenaries took out the real caretaker and one of the men took his place to wait for the detonator to arrive. However, in the present, George explains to the fake caretaker that only he can use the detonator. The group has no choice but to go along for now. Moments later, the truck breaks down in the middle of the road. George finally sees the car in the mirror and immediately punches the fake caretaker before slamming his head repeatedly into the steering wheel. Then he comes out and opens fire on the other mercenaries, but only kills one before a gunfight begins. The caretaker wakes up and shoots him, so George hides under the truck while a civilian car appears on the road. The mercenaries kill the new arrivals, but now they're distracted and George manages to quickly finish them off. Then George tries the truck again to no avail. Refusing to give up, he sets up the detonator and drives away in a car. As he drives, he calls Archie to tell her Shiv got the bomb and he couldn't stop him. Once he's far enough, he detonates the warhead. The huge explosion soon appears on the Lazarus systems. Afterward, George goes to the airport but can't catch a